Hello, everyone. Today, I'd like to talk about Space Marine 2. Just generally, I've been feeling some aggravation with this game as a game, like as a product, a video game that I'm playing in the year 2024, and I feel the need to get it off my chest. I don't think anything I'm going to offer here is potentially that unique in terms of a take, but I want to give it to you anyway because I need to shout into the void. So the first thing I want to talk about is the loading issues, or just generally like getting into games. The first issue that I have is this game takes about a minute and a half to boot from pressing play on Steam to actually getting into the game. It takes 15 seconds to show that initial small thing with the anti-cheat on there, easy anti-cheat, a lot of good that's doing because I've seen like 3 cheaters already. And then it takes you another 40 seconds to get through the epilepsy warning and all that stuff, like all those preloaded things. I'm sure there must be somewhere in the ini files I can turn that off, but I haven't gotten to it yet. And then we've got to load into the servers and press play, and it's gotta, make me stare at the Space Marine breathing face for a little while. And then finally, you get into the actual lobby area. And from there, you get to play this really fun game that I honestly played probably about a third of my playtime today, playing this fun game. It's like a mini game within Space Marine 2. It's called, you go to the lobby browser, you go to like the launch bay like this, and you go over here to interact, and you press quick match, and then it loads you into a game, or it'll say like, okay, joining game, and then you just have to walk over here and the ship will take you to the game. Well, when you get to the actual game, you're obviously playing the class you wanted to play, right? Because you picked it ahead of time. Well, it'll pop up on the screen and say, pick your class. And you'll realize that the class you picked isn't available because someone in the game already fucking has it. So you'll say, well, I don't want to play a different class. I joined because I wanted to play this class. So you'll hit escape, and you'll go back to Battle Barge, and you'll play it again. You'll do it again. And then sometimes it'll load you into just a regular lobby where they haven't even loaded into the game, and someone in there will already be on that class. And those are extra good because it'll show you all 6 classes because they're all available, and you'll pick it, and you'll be like, oh, thank God. And then it'll show that it'll be red because someone has already picked that class. And it's rude to expect them to change, like they were there first and on that class. But it reminded me of something that Vermintide did, because Vermintide also had this class exclusivity thing where you couldn't have 2 Corellians, 2 Krubers, or whatever. You needed to have only one max of a certain class type. As soon as you clicked join or quick play or whatever, and it matched you with a certain game, first off, if you clicked quick play, 9 times out of 10, it would put you in a game where your class is available. If it couldn't find a game, it would put you in, it would offer you the other available games on the difficulty you queued for, and it would say, hey, your class isn't available, please choose one of these other classes, to play as, before it undertook any loading. Because the real issue that I'm having is there is a 30-second load after I press quick play to join the game. Actually, I have to watch the fucking cutscene of this shit flying out of here, and then there's a 30-second load, and then it lets me see my class isn't available. So then there's a 30-second load to get back here to try it again. And I did this 6 times in a row earlier today. And then the game I was playing that I finally got into crashed. Which, granted, isn't a common experience that I've been having, but it fucking crashed, and there is no way to rejoin a game that you've been kicked out of. Now, there was one thing that had me hopeful, which is you can go in the top right corner here, and you can go to recent players, and you can wait here, and you can hit enter, and you can click. This menu never populates with anything, even with a game I was just dropped from. There's no way to get back into a game, even if you're seconds from completing the game. That was all wasted time. So that is just really, really frustration. You're loading, there's loading screens between everything. It feels like Starfield. There's loading screens between everything. The loading screens are at least 30 seconds, and you're just stuck in them all day playing this minigame, hoping to God you find a game that doesn't have your class already filled. So that is by far my biggest issue with the game so far. In addition to that, there's a few, bug-related issues. One, the infinite loading glitch, which I'm sure a lot of people have had. You'll try to join a lobby and you'll just get the bar will not move. It'll just sit there right at the very edge, right at the very start, and say like joining in progress or whatever, and it won't move at all, and you can wait 3-4 minutes. The problem is the loading is normally so slow that you don't realize that it's not making any progress, so you waste a minute sitting there, and then you realize, oh fuck, I'm glitched. So you have to Alt F4 the game because there's no way to cancel the load, and then you have to load up again, which, as we already assessed, takes 1 minute and 30 seconds to load back into the game to queue again and hope that doesn't happen again. So there's just huge fucking issues with this loading problem. I hope to God they fix it in really short time, really, really quickly here. And then another issue, kind of an edge issue that I've encountered a few times is, yes, when you're loading into games, the game is taking my mouse and I can't do it. Oh, I'm right, I'm in this top thing. When you're loading into games, when you make a match-made game, most times it's going to load you into a game that's already in progress or a lobby that's already open. But occasionally, if people leave from that, it'll put you back in your own lobby, and when you open this, it'll start a game where you're the host and people can join on you. And that's fine, obviously. Like, I'm fine waiting around for people to join on me. But I have had maybe 5 times in my 60 hours of playing an instance where I start the lobby and no one joins for like 3 to 5 minutes, and then I cancel the mission and I start the mission again, like, press E and then press U to cancel. Why is it on U? Who knows? But I cancel the mission, I start the mission again, and then no one joins. And the only way I've found to fix this is to hit escape and go back to title screen and watch the man breathing at me and relog into the server, which takes another 30 seconds to actually, I think it like kicks you off of the server where you're like able to match with people. And that, in addition, this game has like constant downtime with the servers. It's really weird. Like, maybe they're doing tweaks and stuff to it, but yeah, it's just weird to me, like how much server downtime there seems to be. I'll pretty commonly connect to the game and I'll see like, oh, it's kind of connect to the server. Any progress you make will not be saved, yada yada. Very frustrating. Okay, so that's the issues I have with the game as a video game. Let's talk about the game's internal mechanics in terms of like balance and how it feels and is it fun and stuff. Okay, so first off, a lot of times you're going to get stuck playing with bots because the game doesn't seem to be very good at matching people into games that are already in progress. Maybe it's because I'm playing at the highest difficulty, but there's how many fucking people playing this game right now? Where's Steam? Community Hub. Okay, there's 146,000 people playing this game. You're going to tell me that I can't find 2 other people to fill my Ruthless lobby? That seems kind of like crazy to me. The game doesn't even seem to attempt to match people to put into the game, so you'll play the entire game long with just 2 people, which is fine, except for bots are absolute hot dog shit in this game. They cannot path anywhere. They don't sprint. They just walk everywhere, and they'll get stuck, like just walking back and forth in a certain path. I've had it happen a couple times when an ally was literally feet away from being reds, and the bot like just starts going like this, just back and forth and getting shot. Now granted, they gave them 10 times health or like infinite armor or something, so the bots take next to no damage because they realized that they were so stupid. But they're so stupid that like if they can't res you, they're certainly not going to be doing much damage either, because they will they'll just be like shooting this target right here, and then they'll just swap over to this target randomly, and they'll just spend a bunch of time like running around. Like they'll just like shoot these guys and get them almost to execution range, and then they'll just run around and they're just like doing random shit. Or something that I can't decide whether it's good or bad, but they'll put every enemy on execution range, but they'll never take any executions, which would be really handy to have a bot do executions for you sometimes. Like maybe if you could ping them to do it. Because executions take time. It'd be nice to be like, all right, I got that one set up. Go ahead and get out there and get them, Bulwark bot. So bots are just super frustrating. I'm glad they're invincible. That's about the only thing I can say for them, is that they take next to no damage. And they seem to be programmed to get you up first and foremost. So that's fine. The other big issue I have is that melee in this game sucks donkey dick. It is horrible. Sorry for the language, I guess, children. I don't think that's the clientele who watches me, but melee is beyond savable in this game. I had the misfortune of starting to level the assault class before I looked at the end game stat screen and saw people who were using green, melt-a-guns and stuff like that, who were doing twice or 3 times as much damage as I was overall on a mission where I thought I was doing really well playing as assault. The amount of damage, so let's just take a look here. Let's take a look, for instance. This is the Thunder Hammer, right? The most damaging, the most powerful melee weapon in the game. The most powerful version of it does 12 damage. Okay, that seems, and I think it can like charge up an attack, right, or something. Hopefully, it does 12. The Power Fist, it's literally got power in the name. The most damaging version of it does 10 plus. Okay, let's take a look at the Sniper. The Sniper's Fusel, even the less damaging version, does 14. There's one that does 15. There's one that does 14 that has a more rate of fire. Okay, let's take a look at the Heavy, who has access to the Melta. The most damaging one here does 14, and it has a magazine capacity of 30, and it can hit multiple enemies. There is a really, really big inequivalency between the amount of damage that melee classes do and the damage that range classes do. My damage is a fraction of the damage of the classes that can just stand 50 meters away and have no real threat of anything actually hitting them. And I'm the one who has to get in there and actually dodge and parry and block attacks and risk my bacon to get the damage done. The thing about melee classes is you cannot always be shooting, because sometimes when you're playing assault, you have to dodge out of the way of enemies. And you do have this cool jetpack, but it has a 40 fucking second cooldown, so you're waiting forever for this relatively ineffective ability that doesn't have that big of an impact on the battlefield to come up. It's just really, really feels bad. And you will take your fucking Power Fist that's all the way kitted up, and it does a whole 10 damage, and you will fucking wail on a single Thousand Suns Chaos Space Marine forever. It takes like 10 plus hits to get them into execution range, and then you'll see someone walk up with the last Fusel and they'll shoot them twice and they'll go into execution range, and they do that from 50 meters away, and you're just like, what the fuck, why am I even bothering playing this? So melee needs to be buffed hugely. I don't care if you nerf range, except for the Melta-gun needs to have its bugs fixed. Yeah, melee is just insanely weak. It does not feel good to play at all. You will just spend infinite time just punching and punching and punching and slashing on even the smallest enemies, like the little guys, not the guys with the rifles, like the regular dudes, but like those little Thousand Suns guys with the shields, or like the small the small Tyranids. Those guys should go fucking splat when you hit them with a Thunder Hammer, not bounce away and need to be executed or whatever. It's just ridiculous. Like, melee is so weak, and it's just infuriating to play as. All right, let's talk about the Melt-A-Gun. So the Melt-A-Gun has this lovely bug currently that just kind of makes using any other gun pointless. First of all, we already addressed the fact that the Melt-A-Gun, well, let's look at the regular Melta just for a point. The Vanguard gets access to the regular Melta. So here's the Melta rifle. The highest damage one of it is 14, or sorry, it says 15. So that's as much damage, or that's more damage than the Thunder Hammer does. And you can see there it has 10 piercing. So this thing just cleaves through every enemy you have in front of you. So you just get enemies grouped up in a hallway or something, and you can kill them all in one hit, which the Thunder Hammer cannot do, and this thing does it from range. And if you, and this, I have to assume this is a bug. If this is not a bug, I will uninstall this game. If you get hit and you have any temporary health, or whatever, source gives you some temporary contested health, if you can hit more than one enemy with the multi-melta, it will give you back more health than you had contested health. So you'll see people with the melt-a-gun. Usually it's like vanguards who zip line in, they get hit a little bit, and they line up 3 enemies, and they melt-a-gun them, and their health bar fills back up to full instantly. That's just beyond busted. I don't know how that got into the game and how that wasn't caught in testing. That like, yeah, the melt-a-gun is just instantly healing people to full. That just completely breaks the health economy of the game. So what the fuck are we doing here? So yeah, Melta needs to get fixed in that regard. There's some issues I have with classes. There are, obviously these 3 classes, Sniper, Heavy, and Tactical, are the most powerful classes by a long shot. These 3 suck dick. It's kind of fun to play as Bulwark because nothing can kill you, but like they do no damage. And they have, let's look at their perk tree. There is so much dead meat, like just absolutely worthless stuff in these perk trees that offer nothing to you and nothing to the team. We're talking about damage from charge attacks increases that, so this is okay. The best one in the second talent tree is secondary weapon damage. Your pistol, the worst pistol in the game, increases by 15%. That's great. Or killing 15 enemies in rapid succession gives you 1 charge back. 15 enemies as assault is torturous. Every one of those kills is going to get stolen by someone else, and you have to wait 3 minutes to get another charge of this. That's just ridiculous. You only get 15% damage against Majoris or Extremist level enemies, which who cares, because your weapon literally does like barely more than 10 damage anyway. It's just really, really frustrating because like there is so much like just dead stuff that like there's nothing to pick that would improve your class at all. Versus in the Tactical, now the Tactical has a little bit of issues with this because like their whole first talent tree is just worthless. But like over here they have stuff that like, the mark for the Auspex scan lasts 8 seconds longer, and then you can chain that into they take 75% additional damage, and they take 100% additional damage. So the Tactical can triple the damage that the whole team deals to enemies by Auspex scanning them for 12 seconds, and that's just insane, like the damage buff that offers. There is so much damage in this tree, and there is so much damage and utility on the Sniper and the Heavy tree. Like these classes, like the Sniper can regenerate 10% of all of his allies cooldowns every time he gets a headshot kill. The Heavy regenerates where is it, when your Halo is down or up or whatever it is, it's like you're regenerating your allies ultimate abilities. Like these are already the good classes, and their talent trees have so much better stuff. It's just really, really frustrating. I mean, I guess I could like just, if you can't beat them, join them, but I kind of do want to play a melee class because this is a game where I should be like slashing through stuff and all that good stuff. Okay, so let's round out by doing some more constructive criticism rather than just some straight criticism. I really wish that there was more class synergy in this game. I wish that because you cannot have overlapping classes, and they've kept the perk trees, the talent trees really simple. Like this isn't gonna get complicated anyway. I wish there was like specific talents that say like, hey, when this is going on, when this ability is used or whatever, you do this. That would like work with the idea of coherence for the squad. When you only have 3 characters, I'd love to see them cooperating more. Right now it just feels like everyone's kind of out for their own thing, and there's only a few blessed classes that actually have any abilities that kind of affect how the other people play. So I'd love to see something that like actually makes use of the fact that there's other classes that have unique abilities and synergize with that. I already talked about the talent trees needing more interesting stuff in it. Let's talk about the game itself. Is it interesting? Well, I just put up a video of myself playing Bulwark. I had to cut about... The game was like 40 minutes long because I was playing Bulwark and I had one teammate, and the game didn't match anyone into our game for 10 minutes, and that person got disconnected about 10 minutes later, and so we've had to finish the game with just 2 people and a bot. and it took an eons, first of all. And when I went back and edited that video to remove all like the downtime and the walking, I cut 15 minutes out of the 40-minute match. So there is so much walking. I would get it if like there was something lore-wise happening, or like, you know, I mean, the vistas are nice to look at and stuff, but there's not that much scenery looking needed, and you're really slow. So you're just like clomping around these empty rooms. You're just walking from point to point. Like for instance, the mission I'd played, if you didn't see the video, the mission I played is the one with where you follow behind the giant like war machine that's just like gunning everything down. And I comment in the video that like that part needs to be about half as long, because it takes like 5 minutes to do, and you don't have to do anything because the giant war machine just kills everything. You just have to stand around. So you've got like 5-minute long quote unquote combat segments, and then 3-minute long walking segments. And it just like the combat when you're in there is fun, but comparing it to Darktide, where like in Darktide around every corner there's like a pack of enemies that are waiting to be dealt with, or you know, there's a horde that's coming to get you, or some specials that are coming to get you. And even playing on the highest difficulty in this game, it feels like half the level is empty. And when things are getting hectic and like picking up and there's enemies on the screen, and you know, you're kind of like backed into a corner, you have to be strategizing, it still feels like it could throw so much more at you. I almost feel like this game, like the game engine for some reason cannot handle having more enemies on the screen. But what I'm really hoping is with the new difficulty, they really up those levels of enemies, because there's so much there's many ways to deal with them, but I feel like you spend half of the game just like, all right, where's the next enemy gonna spawn? Shoot him to death. Okay, that's done. And you move on from there. Like it isn't anywhere near as hectic as Darktide is when you have enemies around you on all sides. Like the most enemies you'll ever see on screen in this game is like 30 tops. And that might be an engine limitation, but I really feel like maybe they could step up the level of some of those enemies and make them more challenging. Because like the most challenging enemies are probably the Tyranids that come with the dual swords, and you know, you kind of don't see that many of them at any given time. Anyway, maybe, and also they probably realize that like, oh yeah, people don't want to slog through 50 million enemies because the damage is so low. Well, what if you just made the damage higher and introduced more enemies? It would be a more satisfying experience. Okay, so yeah, there's big downtime, and there's just not very many enemies to kill in a lot of situations. And let's cap this off with just some positives. I think the game's pretty fun. You know, I like the style of like it's like a Bayonetta, like Devil May Cry sort of like fighter like that. There's no combo counter or anything, but it is fun. It's like got really satisfying animations, and it feels good to get through a combat encounter without being scathed at all. But it feels the same, you know, you get the same satisfaction out of Darktide. It is not nearly as high octane as Darktide is, but I'm hoping that like some changes to the way the game plays and like the damage balance will really fix that up for it. The devs do seem very responsive to the community outcry. Like they've already said they're going to be adding like private lobbies for PvE content and stuff like that. So I have optimistic expectations that it will definitely get better than it currently is. Do I think it's worth $60 in its current iteration? I think that really depends on whether or not you anticipate getting value out of the campaign. Like if you have 2 friends to play the campaign with, that would be a lot of fun. And if you want to play PvP, I've heard PvP is pretty good, so you know, that might generate a lot of value. I think it is a good value proposition just because it has all those different game modes, and it's certainly going to generate more value over time as more content is added. But like in the short term, if you're making a decision, you know, between Darktide and this, and you've got like $60 in your wallet, I would honestly go with Darktide as like a new player, just because like there's a lot of frustrations with this game, and it needs some kinks ironed out, and it needs like the actual content to be made more realized, whereas Darktide kind of has a lot of content if you really think about it at this point, and especially after the crafting update comes out, I think it's going to see a little bit of a renaissance for players. So I'm more optimistic about Darktide in the immediate future than I am about Space Marine 2. It's fun, but like I don't know if it's gonna super stick the way that Darktide has for me, just because it doesn't offer that same like juicy, hectic combat, not in its current iteration anyway. All right, guys, that is everything that I wanted to talk about. Sorry I made you stare at this bulwark for most of the time. I'll probably put some B-roll over it so you can watch me play terribly instead. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Thanks for listening to me rant. I just had to get that off of my chest because I was super pissed after spending 20 minutes trying to get into a fucking game. All right, y'all. Like and subscribe if you wish, and I'll see you next time.